Streaming now, this is the Wood TV Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everyone. Phil Pinarski here with the Wood TV Live Desk. Hope you're all having a great start to your Monday in honor of Earth Week, which kicked off yesterday. News 8 digital reporter Matt Jarowski will be joining us every single day on the Live Desk at noon to discuss one of the many endangered or threatened species of animals that are native to Michigan and the conservation efforts that go into sort of bringing that population back up. Matt, as always, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Phil, thank you.
And before we start kind of talking about this one specific animal for today, Matt, I kind of want to talk about the series as a whole. What sort of went into the making of this series?
Yeah, so just some talks with, some of the digital team here at Wood, figuring out unique angles and stories we can do for Earth Day. I know last year we did kind of a different focus as far as Earth Day, talking about the history of the day and all the work that's been done since. So this year I want to take a little different tack, working on a lot of environmental stories here around West Michigan. Several of the species that we're going to highlight this week, we've already done stories on, but we really want to come back and give more of an overarching view of the amount of conservation effort that's really being put in to protect native species here in Michigan and to preserve the ecosystems that we have in place right now.
Right. Now, and as a reminder for everyone, a new story will be published every single day. So the first one is out. It is on the piping plover, which we're going to be talking about today. Matt, let's just talk a little bit about the animal itself. It is a native bird to Michigan. Tell us a little bit about some of the characteristics of it, just in a broad sense.
Yeah, so it's an adorable, tiny little bird, and it lives on our across the Great Lakes region on our lake shores. They're extremely finicky. They like pebbly, sandy beaches. They need a lot of open space, but they're also extremely vulnerable to predators. So not the best match.
Right.
Even the people that I spoke with at the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore, which have a program dedicated to protecting these birds, even talk about like they're extremely skittish and can be very vulnerable to predators, but at the same time, they'll just like walk up to you on the beach. So
yeah, right.
That's not exactly something they want.
Yeah.
But it's an extremely unique bird. They typically brood one round of eggs a year, 4 typically. And because they're so endangered, really prior to the conservation efforts in the 1980s, there are an estimated between 12 to 17 breeding pairs of the piping plover left. So it was really near extinction or extirpated is one of the words that they use. But thankfully to those efforts over the last few decades, specifically the last few years, they have gotten those numbers to boost up slightly.
Right now, and we are showing some pictures of the piping plover right now on the screen, and they are adorable, but like you mentioned, they can be showing a weakness to predators across. They're not very big. They can't really defend for themselves and everything. Is that sort of what was that sort of the main cause, I should say, to leading them to near extinction 40 years ago and now still being on that critically endangered list?
Good question. And no, the answer really isn't predators. It's actually more a complete loss of habitat. So like I said, they need a lot of open space, and they love our Lake Michigan beaches. We love our Lake Michigan beaches. So a lot of that habitat has been lost to development for homes or even recreation areas too. So really part of the reason why the Sleeping Bear Dunes has become such a key area for them is because it's one of the few places left on the lakeshore where they can live and be protected. So it's really become a home for them.
Right. Now, and Matt, just kind of switching a little bit now, we talked a little bit about those conservation efforts that are being done right now. Can you go more in depth on that? There are groups and programs out there right now trying to get those numbers of the piping plover back up.
Yeah, so the Sleeping Bear Dunes has its own specific program dedicated to protecting this bird because they have such a large population and a major portion of the total population. Right now, the number is approximately, so I mentioned in the 80s, it was about 12 to 17 pairs. Right now, it's at 150 or so. So still extremely, threatened and very much in danger. They're not by any means out of the woods, but the numbers have gone up. Even just as a couple of years ago, it was closer to 75. So really in the last couple of years, they've actually been able to double that number. As far as other protections go, it's really nothing out of the ordinary. They will cordon off some areas around a nest, just with basic chicken wire fencing, things that allow the birds to get in and out because they are so small. They can get in and out easily, but keep some predators out. Gives people a heads up of like, hey, we need to avoid these areas. Just trying to keep these birds safe. And then the big problem is people bringing their dogs into these areas. So Sleeping Bear Dunes has its own program. They call it their Bark Rangers, where they have volunteers that come. They can bring their dogs or not, but basically dogs are permitted in certain parts of the park, but areas where the plovers are, dogs are not permitted. And it's also a big issue of not only people bringing their dogs into these areas, they're bringing them and letting them off leash, which I understand a lot of dog owners want to do and let their animals run around and explore the beach. I get that. But in any state park, dogs do need to stay on leashes. And especially in the area where the plovers are, it doesn't matter if you have the friendliest dog on the planet, that's going to read as a predator to the plover. And the dunes experts say, if a plover gets scared, it will abandon its nest. So those 4 eggs will likely be lost, which again just goes into the cycle of not helping this bird expand its population.
Right. No, and definitely a good tip about that, and a lot of great information is in that article, Matt. And I do want to kind of make mention just a little reminder for everybody that Matt is going to be releasing new articles every single day regarding these, a select few of the endangered animals here in Michigan. Matt, if you could give us a little bit of a tease into tomorrow's story, and again, you're also going to be joining us on the live desk yet again at noon tomorrow for that.
Yeah, so we'll be joining you live noon every day, talk about the article that drops, like they're dropping around 9 in the morning. Next week, we'll be talking about the lake sturgeon, which is, for a lot of people here in Michigan may know, it's an ancient fish. Scientists believe that it's been in this specific, or roughly this form for millions of years. So dating really back into prehistoric times. And now it's a threatened species here in Michigan for a number of reasons. This story goes into exploring those ups and downs of the lake sturgeon population, and specifically some of the studies being done here along the Grand River, looking for those fish. So we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, no, definitely looking forward to it, Matt, and definitely a little bit of a good note ending it about the piping plovers, getting those numbers back up. That is a good sign. So very, very happy to hear about that, Matt. And again, thank you so much for coming on the live desk today, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow at noon as well.
That's right. Thank you, Phil.
And I want to thank everybody else for tuning in to this latest edition of the Wood TV Live Desk. I'm Phil Pinarski, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.